Did I grow up Scooby? Of course I did. I'm a pre-internet era. I'm much older than I look. It's the Pearl Cream. So I always had Scooby Doo. It would always come on. I was terrified of it, but if it had a guess, I really was. The backgrounds and the monsters were really scary to me. But if the Harlem Globetrotters were in it, or if Batman was in it, or Don Knotts.
So you didn't like those original monsters, the Jeepers and the Creeper?
I mean, they scared me. But I mean, to your point, we talked about this, and he had mentioned this in the panel. The function of Scooby Doo, to a degree, is to handhold kids through fear into like a rational explanation.
Yeah.
And that's always been the thing. You're gripped by fear, like, ooh, these are scary. And the designs were kind of scary. And then suddenly you get on the other end and it's like, oh, it's Old Man's Withers, you know, and you're like, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, no, the lesson is it's always a duplicitous real estate developer.
That's right.
And it's interesting. It's really, as Gary said in the panel, it's a combination of Dobie Gillis, which is a sitcom with a being who would be Shaggy.
Yeah.
You know, Dobie would be Fred. Failure Manager was the popular girl who would be Daphne, and then Zelda Gilroy is the brain with the glasses, just like Velma. But then combine that with Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters.
Right.
Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which is a perfect comedy because as a little kid, you want to be scared. You're drawn to the monsters, but you're kind of repelled too because you're afraid of being afraid. And knowing that Lou Costello was afraid too made it okay. And that's really what Scooby and Shaggy do in the show. They make being afraid be okay, and you know it's going to be funny, and then it's all going to turn out because you know.
If the people in Haunting on Hill House watched Scooby Doo, it would have been so much easier. Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite monster of all the eras?
We just talked about this. I said in the panel, somewhat ironically, I said Scrappy.
It's the movie monster.
Yes. And I'm gonna. Which one was the? And you'll know because you're a Scooby Dooologist.
We'll find out.
Who had the underwater, like the classic underwater suit?
Captain Cutler.
Yes.
Captain Cutler.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Not like that.
The diving suit is great.
Yeah.
And there's some great iconography in there that he's the old painting of the captain, and he really is. Well, I won't spoil it.
Spoilers.
The mystery's only 50 years old.
But when the new DVD set on September 3rd comes out, it'll be like it's brand new.
All that stuff is great, though. I don't have a favorite monster. I said it was old Iron Face on the panel, but just because I needed one. And I had gone through the list when I did. I did a movie called Franken-Creepy, and there are a bunch of old monsters come for revenge, you know. And I tried to pick the stupidest ones, and Old Iron Face was in there.
Nice.
I thought maybe it was the one from A Night of Fright Is No Delight because
that's a real. What's weird about that one is there are actually two phantoms in A Night of Fright Is No Delight, but it's just confusing, so it ends up being one. Anyway, sorry.
What does it say about the ubiquity of the character or the characters when now any group of teenagers or even young adults who are out looking through mysteries is just referred to as a Scooby Gang?
Right.
Especially on Buffy,
Oh, yeah.
where Scooby has nothing to do with it.
No, it's become absolute. You know, probably 40 years ago, you would have said, "Oh, it's Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys," you know. But they are synonymous with a group of friends who are, you know, kind of solving mysteries or kind of somewhere where they don't belong.
well, it's not only that, and weirdly, Scooby broke from the pack with all the other Hanna-Barbera mystery solvers, and that's always interesting because those were all kind of versions of Scooby.
Yeah, they were all rip-offs of Scooby.
Right. It's from the same company.
Yeah. Speed Buggy, Goober and the Ghost Chasers, Funky Phantom. They're all Jabberjaw, even Josie and the Pussycats. They're all versions of Scooby
That
Doo.
Scooby was able to. I also think it's, as I mentioned, it was like it's the longest running cartoon character that's like consecutive on television or whatever. That people know it all around the world. So it is a shorthand.
Someone told me Scooby is the 5th most recognizable cartoon character.
I wonder who the 6th is and if they're angry. You know?
It's Jabberjaw. He's coming back.
But I do think, you know, everybody has a deep affection for Scooby and Shaggy, and
Or
most.
if they don't, we don't want to talk to them.
Right, yeah, exactly. Those people should be dead. No.
Strike that from the record, please.
Yeah.
How do you keep it fresh after 50
How do
years?
you keep it fresh? That's a good question.
I think it's that because when you come to Scooby Doo, it's fresh as a creator, as a writer, or animator, or even as a voice artist. It's new for you. It's like what are the things I wanted to see
Yeah.
in Scooby Doo that I never got to see? And when we did What's New Scooby Doo all those years ago, you'll see things that like the first episode is a snowboarding episode. So
Right.
snowboarding didn't exist in the original one, and then there's a part where Fred breaks his leg, and he's watching Daphne investigate. It's just like Rear Window. So you can start doing homages to other movies. Homage is a fancy word for rip-off.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of thing you get to do. You know, what do we
also,
not see?
yeah, also like the first Scooby thing I ever did was those Lego shorts that Stupid Buddy animated, and Jim and I sat down, and because that was kind of my first like, what can we do? There are things that you just think about, like if you read comic books and Batman screen, you're like, if I had the chance, I'd do this. And then we just listed a bunch of them.
And then on top of that, because it was a different medium
That's what I was
and it
gonna
had
say.
the Lego,
Yep.
we would say, what would they build?
Yeah.
And what could they assemble and what could they disassemble? And there's a wonderful one that has the door on the floor and the door on the ceiling, and
Yeah.
it's logic that doesn't exist
Right.
in the Scooby-Doo cartoon. You
Right.
couldn't do that, even though it's got a talking dog and a magic hallway where they cross over and dematerialize and rematerialize
Yeah.
somewhere else. But somehow they would never put a door in the floorway and
Yeah,
see.
but that's the great thing.
Lego,
Because, yeah, because the medium that you get to play with Scooby in, it's remarkable.
Did either of you guys work on that Scooby Doo Kiss movie that came out a few years ago?
I worked on the story with Tony Cervoni and Kevin Shinnick, and Kevin wrote the teleplay and did a great job. But it just even like the original, the conceiving of it, basically it takes place in an amusement park, just like Kiss and the Phantom of the Amusement Park, which was a TV movie that I was on when I was a kid. So there were all these little touchstones of things we wanted to see in it, and then Tony and Kevin spin it out in this wonderful sequence where it's. I don't know if you know this, but Gene Simmons and those guys love comic books. I mean, he's all about Jack Kirby, and they go into this alternate dimension, Kisteria, where is like a Jack Kirby dimension, and all the other characters there. And in the movie, the late Gary Marshall plays their manager, and you hear his voice and he goes, "Oh, it sounds just like Gary Marshall." That's because it's him. And then when they go to the Kisteria where they meet the Kisterians, and it's all everybody's got face makeup on. Everybody looks like Kiss.
Yeah.
And they talk to the wise old elder who's a woman, and Velma says something smart, and then you hear the elder say, "The short one speaks true," and you go, "Oh my gosh, it's Penny Marshall," And it's so,
That opened with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think because that was like the greatest movie I think I saw that year.
It was
Thank
great.
you.
But
I
that
love
was they
And
premiered it on Hall
the,
H.
the thrill for me was seeing my name in the font, in the Kiss Love Gun font.
Yes,
But I guess-
but they had premiered it with Hall H, and if you remember, J.J. Abrams had the panel before and had ushered everybody out.
Yeah, it was a ghost
So
town.
it
It
was-
was a Comic-Con disaster.
Yeah, but it was a great movie.
I guess the follow-up to that is, what are some of your favorite Scooby-Doo crossovers that they've ever done? And if there's a crossover they haven't done yet, what would be your dream crossover?
Well, I guess it's too late to do the Monkeys. That'd be great, though.
Yeah, I mean, I really did have an affection for Don Knotts, Batman, Globetrotters back in the day. Our Scooby Natural obviously was a big crossover. I've always wanted them to be able to do it with a big action hero. Like, I want to see Stallone or Schwarzenegger
Oh,
with
yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh,
Would be
that'd be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Why are you eating so much of that sandwich?
Oh, but Stallone and the
Scooby-Doo and the
Phantom.
Untouchables?
Like an Expendables crossover?
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Well, you're truly expendable. Like, that'd be amazing. That'd be great.
I actually wrote a spec Doctor Who Scooby Doo
Yes.
crossover
Right.
for Capaldi and Clara.
It was so
and
good.
and I thought that I loved it so much that I thought that it would happen, and it didn't.
No.
Because there's a lot of heartbreak in this business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The stuff that's on the shelf of Scooby,
Yeah.
I can tell you that I did two things that they did not do, and that are still in the ether somewhere.
Someday.
But they were. I loved them to death. But it's interesting because you are dealing with a product that's been around for a long, long time, and when you get together, I think one of the more fun aspects is trying to figure out what they haven't done. So even when we sat around with Tim and talked about 13 Ghosts, and we're like, what would the sequel be? And talked about that, and then Return to Zombie Island, what would that be?
Yeah.
And try to figure out new ways around the same old problems. You know, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, looking at some of the same situations through new eyes.
Yep.
It's like when you have the WWE and you do one where they're at WrestleMania, and then the sequel to that is you bring the wrestlers back, and the situation is
driving.
they're in a road race, and they all have cars that like do wrestling moves.
We'll have to ask Vietti how that
the
really.
genius of Brandon Vietti. You
Yeah.
know why? Because he means it. He's
He
not
loves-
phoning it in. He's not like, oh no, I've got to do wrestlers. He's like, give me the wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know?
What amazes you about the 50-year legacy of this character, this franchise?
Because to me, what amazes me, it still elicits laughter. Like I have two daughters, and the first time they saw Scooby Doo, it's like instantaneous, like they get it. You know, there is that slapstick quality of like, oh, they're eating too much and now they can't move, and oh, they're scared and they're holding each other as they run. You know, there's something so kinetic and physical that everybody gets internationally. It's not like it's a nuanced monologue. Everybody understands.
Isn't that weirdly timeless in that they don't really look like they come from 1969?
That's true.
I mean, because it was
Except for the ascot.
Well, no, I don't
But some
think
people wear them.
high school jocks were wearing ascots in 1969 either. You know what I mean? I guess the mini dress that Daphne's in maybe was Au Courant, but I don't think she would have worn, an airline hostess scarf.
Courant.
You know, they're gonna have to all look up. Au
I'm gonna
Courant.
have to
It's
look
gonna
that
be,
up.
I want to
italicized.
ask, you did some the DC superhero girls.
Yes.
Report. So I want to ask about how you view Velma and Daphne. Because they're sort of like they were unusual in the early 70s.
No, that's true. They
were
probably
full
are the
members
ones.
of the group.
Yeah, and
well,
they're
Daphne
probably.
was kind of dumb, but
Well,
Velma.
was she dumb? I
But
think
she
she was
was
just
dumb.
danger. She was danger prone, which
Yeah.
she's not stupid,
And,
but she just
and
has she's
Fred
accident
actually
prone.
ends up being kind of dumb.
We always push for
Dumb
being
Fred
a
is
little
good
dumber.
Fred, yeah.
Yes.
And you're right about that. There is something really interesting, liberating about that. They were, because especially Velma, who everybody knew she was the brain. And there was, you don't really think, I guess you don't really go, oh, well, those are the girls and these are the boys. You're just like, here's the team. And they all have their function. And you don't it's not like Fred's like, let me protect you at all times. He's there with the flashlights.
It
They're
was
in the.
unusual to be grown up in the mid 70s. Like, oh, they're just girls and they're part of the
Yeah.
group.
But I grew up with a single mom and a sister that could beat me to death. So, I'm like,
And may still.
that makes sense. Yeah.
2 more minutes.
You have more questions?
I just wanted to ask, do you know how something like that Supernatural crossover came about?
Yeah, we know exactly how it came about. We wrote the Supernatural crossover, and Jeremy had pitched it as a DTV of the Scooby Gang, and they get a visitation from Sam and Dean, and it kind of did not move forward. And we talked about it all the time because
Yeah.
we really loved the idea. And then Jeremy sent me a meme one morning.
Yeah. And then Jim's like, and at that time, one of my good friends had become the showrunner, like that year, had become the showrunner of Supernatural. And Jim's like, you should contact them and see if they'd want
It
to
was
do
like
it.
text him this
Yeah,
morning.
text them if they want to do a live action show with Scooby Doo, like jumping.
Do
Scooby-Doo.
one episode
And I'm
where-
like, I'm okay. And then immediately.
And I forgot about it.
Yeah,
And then
but I was like 5 minutes later.
half an hour later, I get a text back. It's like, he's really excited about it. He wants
Yeah.
to do it.
And so then Jim goes, I got
I'm like, well, this is never
I
gonna
remember,
happen,
and I
you know?
said to you, I go, if I ask him, you have to promise. Like if he says yes, you have to get Sam register to say yes.
So then I had to
Of
go
course,
talk to
Jim.
my vice president, Bobby Page, and she said, "Oh, I love that. Go talk to the president." I did, and that week. The boys, Jensen and Jared, were on the cover of Entertainment Weekly. And so I had a prop, and I'm all about prop comedy, as you can see. And I went in, and he loved the idea and told us to go ahead. And it was like, nothing comes together like that. And I mean, at every step of the process, when we were expecting them to say, well, this is funny, but you can't do that, they kept saying that the note sessions were like,
They weren't note sessions.
this is really funny.
Yeah, they were like attaboy sessions.
Yeah.
And you never
Good
get
job.
We'd hang up the phone and look at each other like, what just happened?
Just compliments.
Yeah.
No, I mean that never ever happens where you just don't get notes and just get encouragement, and we've wasted it on one episode of Supernatural because it could have been our opus, our movie.
And you feel like the younger generation was able to, I don't know, experience Scooby Doo like never before?
Yes, well, that was a really funny thing because there is elements of people were like unaware that Scooby still existed, and there was a lot of people like, this is what there was a deluge of people going, man, I miss Scooby, and that was a weird thing.
And there were even people on the crew who were like, they've kept making Scooby after I stopped watching it,
Right.
and it's like only 100,000 hours of it, but
Yeah.
yes.
So he's like comfort food.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh man, crazy.
It's just kind of like season 14. They don't really go shoot anymore.
No, I think that
Do anything goes.
Listen, if it was any other show, I don't think we would have been able to do it. It's the fact that it's a genre show, that they've been on the air for a long time, and that you're allowed to take some swings every once in a while. And it was a risk. All right.